Well, it's clearly no surprise that Kier Starmer is losing the confidence of the people. Like the mayhem he's caused in the month or so he's been in office is pretty remarkable. I mean, we have seen a lot of hated prime ministers in this country. Thatcher and Blair stand out, but Starmer isn't that far behind, and he's been in the door for a fraction of the time. In today's video, we will be discussing why it doesn't look good for him after recent polls and a recent petition to oust him as our leader, whilst also going over all the latest news. But before we get into the video, please hit the like and subscribe button and join our fast-growing community. Voters have had their say on the government's handling of the social unrest that broke out this summer, including its pursuit of those inciting riots and violence online, according to the latest opinion poll for The Observer. However, the significant boost Kier Starmer enjoyed in his personal approval ratings immediately after his election win has dissipated, falling back to the levels he recorded during the election campaign. Across a series of measures, most voters thought that the government's response to the rioting was either proportionate or not strong enough. Overall, 43% of voters approve of the government's handling of the riots, while 30% disapprove. In terms of the severity of the response, 44% think the government has reacted proportionately to the outbreaks of violence and unrest, and 26% think it didn't go far enough. Only 18% believed ministers had overreacted. There was a similar view on the sentences handed out, with some 70% thinking they were either about right or not harsh enough. As Starmer approaches the end of his first 50 days in office, the public is split over his government's performance. About 24% feel more positive about Labour since it won the election, while 29% feel more negative. Labour has lost a lot of ground on the economy, where its lead is down to 4 points, and health, where its lead is down 3 points since the election. Starmer's personal ratings, which spiked after his election win, have fallen back to their negative pre-election levels. His net approval rating is 7%, down 10 points from the beginning of August, and down 26 points from his first approval rating as Prime Minister. Rishi Sunak's approval rating has remained at 30%. Following the tanking in his approval rating, there has been a petition started to oust Kier Starmer and demanding he steps down. Now this is through change.org, and for some reason is the only one that Parliament listens to. Essentially, if the petition gets over 100,000 signatures, then that means it has to be debated inside Parliament. At the time of recording, the petition has 203,533 signatures. If you want to sign that, then I can leave a link in the description. This follows on from world leaders blasting him and stating he is destroying Britain. Here is a reminder of what some of them said. Christine Anderson, who is the German MEP, said, Kier Starmer, I am calling you out on being a disgrace to any democracy. There certainly have been a lot of posts by the UK Home Office these past couple of days. Interestingly enough, almost all of them deal with how determined the UK Home Office is to punish right-wing thugs. All of these posts focus on what these right-wing thugs have done wrong and what they are being punished for. This begs the question, are they pursuing the strategy of punishing one, teaching hundreds? It certainly looks like it. Why isn't the UK Home Office as determined to go after those illegal invaders who slaughter little girls, or anyone else for that matter, just for the fun of it? Kier Starmer, go ahead and have me extradited so I can stand a mockery trial in your totalitarian regime. Great Britain is no longer a democracy, thanks to Kier Starmer. Deputy Prime Minister is Italy Matteo Salvini blasted the Starmer by saying, "This is not how you should be treating your own people." Like guys, that's from another country's leader, madness. Argentinian President Javier Milei said, "While other countries propose censorship, we propose freedom of expression." Just look at what is happening in England. Since the socialists came to power, they are putting people in jail for posting on social networks. Then finally we have US Republican Senator Ted Cruz say, "The Magna Carta is on. The nanny state totalitarians are destroying Great Britain." Deeply tragic, Kier Starmer is hiding from Britons on immigration and is tone deaf to their concerns, Priti Patel has said. The former Home Secretary, speaking in an interview, she outlined how she had called on Kier Starmer to recall Parliament during the protests, but he had ignored the call. She said, "I think he's become very tone-deaf, actually. And what's happened in recent weeks speaks to this as well. You all know I called for the recall of Parliament because I felt it was really important to have this debate and discussion. So what do? They just hid. They just had no recall. No recall. I just felt that was inappropriate. I really did, because then we could have these discussions around policing, for example, around the causes, how people are feeling, what's going on in parts of the country. And I just don't think they are engaging on this at all." Patel added, "The reality is we hold the police to account through the Home Secretary. She did not come to Parliament over recess when all this was happening. The police need to be getting on and doing the job of policing. And they have the tools, they have the resources and the powers. And I think it's really important at times, the difficult times that we've seen over the last fortnight, we get out there and we, make sure that they've got everything they need to do to police situations that we've seen." Chopper went on to ask, "How would you give voice to the silent majority?" Patel answered, "You get on and deliver for them, that's our mission now as Conservatives, right? I always refer to them as the law-abiding silent majority. They're not the ones coming out on the streets. You know what they want in life. They want good, competent governments that are on their side." And finally he asked, "And how important to you is free speech in our democracy?" Patel replied, "Hugely. Absolutely. It's who we are as a country. And you will recall this. I mean, we had some of these debates back in the day of the pandemic as well. So I think it's important that we live in a free and open society." Lastly, Ed Miliband has been issued a warning over absurd net zero proposals, which could threaten to shut down British manufacturing. The proposals plan to overhaul electricity pricing across Britain and introduce a zonal policy which would provide equitable rates based on geographical location. In theory, this would mean higher prices in South England compared to Scotland, but industry groups have warned the policy could have disastrous consequences and could force British factories to close. Under the current system, electricity is traded across one wholesale market covering all of the UK. By reducing costs in areas closer to wind and solar farms, it would allow other parts of the UK energy grid to be reformed and ease the shift to net zero by reducing the need for new power lines. Industry lobby group Make UK is one group that claims zonal pricing would leave some manufacturers with no realistic option. In a consultation response, the group claimed steel or other energy-intensive industries would have no realistic option to relocate their very heavy assets to more favourable pricing zones and would instead be forced to shut down. Moreover, encouraging a factory to move makes it open to moving out of the UK entirely, as it will reconsider all its options for the best location. What are your thoughts on Kier Starmer, and how long do you think he will realistically last as the Prime Minister? Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.